Okay, so I've got a lot of stuff to go over here, and today we're talking about politics. It's been a little while, and I'm going to go really kind of in depth on this one. Welcome back to the podcast known as Critical Weight Theory, where we sometimes dive deep into the stories that shape our world. And today we're exploring the inspiring journey of Congresswoman Cori Bush, who has been a powerful advocate for justice and equality. But I have to start with something from another member of the squad, Rashida Tlaib. She said in an email, Cori Bush is a nurse, community organizer, and a mother who did not hesitate to speak truth to power in her first week in Congress. Our squad is more than just members of Congress. It's part of an extension of a movement that doesn't only want Congress to look like us, but to also be connected to the pain on the ground. Cori gets that, and she is helping grow our squad in the movement to invest in housing, healthcare, and more. Her lived experience and voice is needed now more than ever. So that's Rashida Tlaib, a prominent progressive in the United States government. And the problem is they're trying to purge the U.S. government of such people. This was in an email for Justice Democrats, and I just donated $5 to them, which you can do too if you feel so inclined. That email ties into some recent developments. They are trying to primary Cori Bush for not being a total warmongering scuzz bucket, and basically for standing up for things that are, good and just. So, the Rochester First news source has an article titled, "A pro-Israel super PAC helped defeat one squad member. Now it's going after another, Cori Bush." So, who was the one that was defeated previously? That was Jamal Bowman. He was unfortunately successfully primaried. And there's a really weird guy who was substituted in for him. And, it's somebody who is backed by AIPAC. And that is a super PAC. So unfortunately, we have seen how powerful money can be. Pour money into someone's campaign and they can stand a much stronger chance. It would be nice, if principle would win more often than not. But no, quite often it's just about who can buy more airtime and, be in the right people's pockets. And, people who stand by the special interests, also known as the corporate money, and all that kind of stuff. That's been really poisoning America's political system for a long time. So, Rochester First noted, a deep-pocketed pro-Israel super PAC that helped defeat one member of the congressional group known as the Squad is now pushing to oust another, Missouri Democrat Cori Bush. Now, I have to interject here and say, actually, no, AIPAC is not pro-Israel. It is pro-Netanyahu and pro-mass slaughter. Anyway, more of that article from Rochester First. So they say, Bush of St. Louis has been a vocal critic of how Israel responded when attacked by Hamas in October, calling the Israeli retaliation an ethnic cleansing campaign. And she was among the few House members who opposed a resolution supporting Israel. So again, that's misleading language. It's not about supporting Israel, it's about supporting Netanyahu and his monstrous campaign of violence. And she boycotted Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's speech before Congress, calling him a war criminal, which he is. And I'll continue reading their article, or their parts of their article. The American Israel Public Affairs Committee Super Political Action Committee United Democracy Project has spent more than $8.4 million to unseat Bush in her August 6th Democratic primary against St. Louis County prosecuting attorney Wesley Bell, according to federal campaign finance records. AIPAC's grassroots members are proud to support strong pro-Israel progressive Democrats like Wesley Bell, an AIPAC statement to the Associated Press read. Is what's going on, against the Palestinians progressive? No, definitely not. It is regressive as hell. It is, the killing of tens of thousands of people, if not, by this point, it might even be up to the hundreds of thousands. I'll get more into that later. But a source on this, the American Friends Service Committee, says at least 34,000 Palestinians in Gaza have been killed at a historic pace, and most of the Gaza population has been displaced. These attacks may amount to a genocide, according to a preliminary ruling by the International Court of Justice, a U.S. federal court, as well as dozens of UN experts and legal scholars. And the American Friends Service Committee also has an Israeli violations tracker, so you can keep up to date on at least some of their myriad crimes. So I do have to say, 34,000 is actually a very conservative estimate, because Lancet, a very well-known medical journal, has estimated that it could be over 100,000. So, yeah, think about that number as you sort of try to wrap your head around this issue. And of course, you can find all kinds of disturbing news articles about what's going on there, as well as video clips. And of course, anytime you bring up these crimes, the defenders will say, well, are you pro Hamas? What about Hamas? What about Hamas? And there's something to be said about just being able to say, okay, both sides, yes, have done bad things, but this is like far above and beyond, because think about it. It's 100,000 or even like 10,000 is worse than 1,000, at least mathematically. Now, I hate to turn this into a numbers game, but it ultimately does become that at a certain point, And unfortunately, it's very possible that Kamala Harris will choose Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. Now, why would that be a bad thing, most likely? Well, as the Genocide Josh campaign notes, our goal is simple: to send a message to Vice President Harris and the Democratic Party that selecting Shapiro as VP would be the wrong choice and would hinder our ability to beat Trump and his extremist MAGA agenda this November, the groups sent to Newsweek via email. Shapiro does not support the values of the Democratic base, the statement continued. He has supported sending $100 million of Pennsylvanians' taxpayer dollars to fund private school vouchers, has quietly settled a sexual harassment scandal against one of his own top aides, and was unique among the top VP picks in his willingness to deploy the National Guard on peaceful protesters. He even went as far as to compare peaceful university protesters to KKK ralliers. So, yeah, there's that. And getting back to, there's always this argument about what about Hamas? What about Hamas? And Piers Morgan is pretty notorious for this. A guest can go on there and even right from the start say that they condemn the attacks by Hamas, but he'll still keep bringing it up again. It's it's like a shield or something like that, or whatever. It's a very effective tool for some propagandists to just say, well, what about this? What about that? You know, and well, if we're going to do whataboutism here, think about it like this: 34,000 is a very conservative estimate, but think about how it actually equals about 11.42 September 11th's worth of deaths. So it's like 11 September 11th rolled up into one. And in fact, even if the number of dead is only at 10,000, well, that's still a significant number, of course. But if we're gonna look at it comparatively, well, that would be the equivalent of 3 September 11th. So even an estimate that's like extremely low would still be tragic and life shattering event. You know, they say that September 11th had changed the world, right? And obviously it did. But what if you have like 11 September 11ths or 12, 13, 14 all rolled up into one? I mean, what if the figure really is 100,000 plus deaths? Well, how many September 11ths would that be? You know, I mean, it's so if you're gonna play this, you know, like whataboutism type of thing, well, you got to be able to go both ways or multiple directions with it, because that's what you've really opened the door to, right? So as far as the VP pick, I would say that Tim Walz would be a better choice. He is from the Midwest. He ended all restrictions and laws surrounding abortion, made Minnesota an abortion sanctuary, and he ended state funding for crisis pregnancy centers. So he also began providing free lunch to all students from pre-K through high school, and you know, a number of other things like that. So yeah, there you go. Minnesota is doing pretty well under him. He's actually a pretty popular governor, and he would be superior to Shapiro. So anyway, more about Cori Bush. You know, who are we talking about here? Cori Bush, she's obviously an American politician, an activist, and registered nurse who serves as the U.S. representative for Missouri's 1st Congressional District. She's a member of the Democratic Party and the so-called Squad, and is known for her progressive stance on various issues. So, you know, she attended Harris Stowe State University and Lutheran School of Nursing, where she became a registered nurse. As far as her activism, she became a prominent figure in the Black Lives Matter movement, which of course Republicans love her for, and particularly after the 2014 shooting of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Her activism focused on racial justice, police reform, and other causes. So, as far as her political career goes, Cori Bush first ran for office in 2016, but was unsuccessful. She gained national attention when she won the Democratic primary in 2020, defeating a 20-year incumbent, William Lacey Clay Jr. Bush was subsequently elected to Congress in November 2020 and assumed office in January 2021. So as far as her policy positions, there's a lot of Justice Democrat stuff in there. She's, you know, part of the progressive wing of the party, the Squad, and she's for Medicare for all. She's advocating for universal health care. She supports the Green New Deal, or initiatives to address climate change and the environment. She's for criminal justice reform, working toward defunding the police, ending cash bail, and reforming the prison system. She's a housing advocate. She wants affordable housing and policies that could prevent homelessness. She's pro-economic equality, pushing for higher wages, more workers' rights, and, just a better economy. And she did a homelessness protest in August 2021. It was led by her on the steps of the U.S. Capitol to extend the federal eviction moratorium during the COVID-19 pandemic, bringing significant attention to the issue of housing insecurity. Cori Bush's approach to politics is deeply rooted in her experience as a black woman, a nurse, and of course an activist. And she also has a story about how she had an abortion when she was younger. So she is somebody who lived through the particular issue that what was such a deciding factor in the 2022 elections, abortion. And she continues to be a vocal advocate for progressive causes, which is why they want to get rid of her and primary her, all that kind of stuff. So her story is one of, resilience and dedication. She shows us that change is possible when people work together. And there's some reasons that she's a name you need to know. She understands the financial struggles that people face as a nation, and she's working to address them. She has deep connections to the people she represents. Her roots in the community give her a unique perspective on the issues that matter. Cori is highly educated and brings a wealth of knowledge to her role, by all appearances. She has personally witnessed injustice and is committed to fighting it. Her passion for the causes she believes in is evident in every speech she gives, and she has the ability to move people and inspire change, and all that kind of stuff, So if you're inspired by Cori Bush's story and want to get involved, now is the time, because, even if she does get primaried, which is a very strong possibility at this point, that doesn't mean you cannot support the Justice Democrats or the Squad. Of course, it's a setback, but there's no need to despair about it. It's just one of those things that will happen when you're living in a sort of a rotten political system. And they're always looking for passionate individuals to join their movement. So if you think you're one of them, go right on ahead, sign up. Maybe you could become a squad member yourself, or something like that. So, well, that's about all I have to say about this. Thanks for joining me on this episode. Stay tuned for more stories and issues that matter. And remember, your voice has the power to make a difference, even if a lot of people out there will tell you it doesn't. It actually can. The way things work is that you chip away at a lot of nonsense, and then eventually something better is revealed. So until next time, keep fighting for what you believe in, and let's hope that she doesn't actually get primaried. All right, have a good one.